The biggest story in the CFL today, Nathan Rourke returns, not just to the CFL, but he returns to the BC Lions. Welcome in, guys. Andrew and Bobby here with you. Of course, we host Coast to Coast, giving you guys, hopefully, winners on a week-to-week basis in the CFL. But today, we're here to discuss briefly the return of Nathan Rourke. Now, for me, I respect anybody chasing a dream. I can respect that he had that most outstanding year for the BC Lions. He was an unbelievable quarterback, mistake-free, making the big plays, constantly making highlights. He had that push, whether it was Giants, whether it was Patriots, whether it was Jags, whether it was Falcons. This guy was all over the map trying to find his way into the NFL. Well, this afternoon, CFL fans found out he was back in the CFL, signing a 3-year deal, and he'll become the CFL's highest paid player in 2025 and 2026. And for the remainder of this season, he will earn $250,000. And now, Bobby, the biggest question here is about Vernon Adams Jr. How much does this take away from him? He's injured right now. Maybe he's more injured than we thought he was. Do you feel like this is disrespectful towards VA? It's just all part of the business. What were your opening thoughts when you saw that he had signed back with the Lions?
Well, Rourke's been talking about coming back to the CFL if it doesn't work in the NFL. So this was kind of expected. If he was going to come back, you'd think the Lions would be the favorite. I don't think it's any disrespect to VA. I think any team in the league would sign Nathan Rourke if they had the chance right now. And the coach has said that this is still VA. We're going to have him on the team. And, hey, it'd be the best insurance in the league. If you have, two of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league on your team, that's better than what the Lions had a few hours ago, where they had one out of the top 20 quarterbacks in the league on their team. So I don't think it's any disrespect to him. I think VA has really I think he's really grown as a part of the Lions. He's improved a lot over the last few years, and I think he's got a little more humility and confidence in himself that he'd be willing to accept this. He's constantly banged up for these guys. The O-line's been brutal this year. Last year, he was barely able to walk in their final game of the year against Winnipeg. So you're gonna deal with injuries in this league, and if you have VA as the number 2 on your team, I think you're in a great spot, especially if they're making a push for the Grey Cup this year.
Hosting the Grey Cup, making the push for the Grey Cup, a team that's been in the mix, which feels like almost every year the past handful of years, haven't been able to get right there in the moment and win the big game. You mentioned depth. To me, depth is what it's all about. Every year in the CFL, there's quarterbacks that go down. And we talk about it every week on our Coast to Coast show that we'd love to be able to just handicap the games. But part of our handicapping with these games has been who is healthy, who's injured, which quarterback is there. And I always talk about, compared to the NFL, the drop-off from QB1 to QB2 has been massive in the CFL. Hate to take shots at the guy, but VA to Delegala is quite the downgrade. Now you look at VA and Nate Rourke, like you mentioned, that's quite the tandem, quite the duo for them to deal with. Nate Rourke will practice this week, and a solid chance, and I won't even call it a chance. He's going to start this week against Winnipeg for the BC Lions. He's familiar with the system. He knows all about them, and he didn't come here to sit on the sidelines for a few weeks. He came here to play if he's available to play and if they want him to play, especially with VA being out. And another headline that was made was that Lions boast talented QB room. Adams will not be moved. Head coach Rick Campbell said, "From talking to Nathan, I know how excited he is to be back with the Lions to get going. For this to happen, it also had to include Vernon Adams Jr. being here. Vernon will not be traded and is too good of a player, too valuable of a leader, and he is a huge part of the team." Taking a look at kind of the pathway that Rourke took. Obviously clearing waivers on Monday after being cut against the Falcons. Only played a couple drives in his preseason game. completing 3 of 13 passes for just 37 yards. It's a real shame, Bobby. You get one shot, you get one drive. If you don't look good, they're getting rid of you. But New York Giants, New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jags, Atlanta Falcons, it just didn't work out for him. Do you believe that that's not the end of him as far as his NFL stints are concerned?
I'd hope not, but I think he's 20, 26, 27 years old. I was hoping he'd give it another year at least. Like you see, the best quarterbacks in the CFL are 36, 37, 38. Even the ones that they say are the best, and they aren't actually, are 37, 38. So there's plenty of time for him to make a mark in the CFL. But I guess if you're a Lions fan, you're glad he's back, but I would have liked to see him at least see what happens. Like injuries happen in the NFL as well, right? And he had a bad game, but hey, he had a great game last year for the Jags, and they still they kept him as a third stringer, but he never really got a crack there. So
yeah,
in terms of like you said, going from Dolagala, we mentioned this in the video earlier. Like it was a huge overreaction on this game this week where they're hosting the Bombers. It was like a 10-point line move going from VA to Dolagala based on the last times these teams met. Right now, the lines only move 3 points from Dolagala to Nathan Rourke. And I think you'd have to be very rusty to only move the line 3 points to have Nathan Rourke taking the spot of Dolagala.
And it is an interesting headline and an interesting storyline here because Winnipeg not only beat BC a few weeks ago, they shut them out 25-0, 25-0. So it sets up for quite the storyline, right? Everything's going wrong. Nate Rourke's been cut by multiple teams, has a poor preseason performance. He has the chance to be the hero. He has the chance to be the guy to come in, get the job done, and play a team off a bye week that should be rested, that just beat the crap out of his team a few weeks ago, and see what he can do. And as you mentioned, the point spread difference has not been that big, and you and I both suspect that it will be only getting bigger and won't go the other way again, I think. So it's only going to go one way. If you guys want to bet on BC, I'd bet on them ASAP. So we just wanted to get some quick thoughts. Wanted to mention about Nate Rourke being back. It's obviously huge for the CFL. And just from a fan perspective and someone that follows the league so closely because I bet on the league, I think it's great because it brings eyeballs. And one thing about Nate Rourke, this guy is the opposite of a check down machine. He loves to throw the ball deep downfield. He loves to make the big plays. And we can both agree, and again, no disrespect to Dolagala, but this fits the mold a hell of a lot better to what VA was doing than it does what Dolagala was doing. So I'm excited to watch him. And do you expect he'll fit right back in right away?
I think it'd be easier than most. Like he's going to take all the first team reps tomorrow. The coach has said that. I know, like I said last week, don't give away your edges. This isn't an edge in any other league other than the CFL, where you can see the coach saying that they're going to give the first team reps, or you can find out that they took the first team reps. That doesn't seem to have moved the line as quickly as it would in the NFL. But both the coach has said it, GM has said this is his team. So I don't know. I'm surprised this line stopped moving right now. Right now, it's kind of a pick. But I don't know. I like this line up to almost 4. So because I've already grabbed the lines at 3.5, I'll probably play it back if it gets up to that number on the Bombers. But I think there's still plenty of room to move. I don't think it's a 3-point move going from Dolagala to Rourke. Maybe if you're going from Dolagala to Davis Alexander or something like that, Matthew Schultz, but this is Nathan Rourke, and I don't want to overreact to him. I thought there would be a nice opportunity to kind of fade him if he did come back, but it doesn't seem like this line is moving as much as it should. Part of that is because I think the Bombers have already been overreacted to their last game against the Lions. So maybe it's not really the spot to be fading Rourke, but maybe you look ahead to the next few weeks. What they're in Ottawa next week, it could be an opportunity there. If BC's favored, I'm probably going to be on the Red Blacks. Famous last words on any Red Blacks bet that I make. But I think there could be an opportunity because he has been hyped up so much. There has been so much reporting on him. if he's tossing balls with Kirk Cousins on the sidelines, if he's seen in a photo of Bill Belichick says and mentions his name in a sentence, it's reported. So I think there's a little too much hype for what he was doing down there. The expectations were pretty high for him from Canadians, CFL fans at least. So there might be an opportunity later down the road here, but in this spot, I'm joining everybody else and jumping on the Nathan Rourke bandwagon back in BC.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but there are fans out there that were not happy that he tried to follow his dream and go to the NFL. There are guys out there on social media, CFL fans, that they don't want him back. You know, they said, hey, you abandoned the league, which is crazy. And this is not my opinion, of course. But as you mentioned, Bobby,
I think they were just mad that he left to begin with.
Yeah.
I think they're fine having him back. But
right.
Yeah, there was a lot of negativity saying that, hey, this guy's going all the way down there for just to cash a paycheck or qualify for a pension. Like, who cares? Like, the NFL pension, it's not as much as you think. And it's not as much as you think it is for a third string quarterback for 3 years in the league either. So he's got plenty of time to make money in this league. And I hope he does. He's a great athlete. It's great to have a good Canadian quarterback in the league too. So I think it's everybody's a winner basically for him coming back here.
But to your point, it's no longer a fun story. It's no longer this guy's a great Canadian. There's going to be pressure on him from the first snap. And I'm excited to see how he embraces the pressure, how he performs, and how this BC Lions team bounces back after their last few weeks' performance. All right, guys, Nate Rourke starting this weekend for the BC Lions. Hope you guys can enjoy the game. Hope you enjoy Week 11 in the CFL. We'll see you next Tuesday on Coast to Coast.